And now when he got into a boat, his disciples followed him. And suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves. But Jesus was asleep. And then his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." But he said to them, "Why are you fearful? Why are you fearful, O ye of little faith?" And then he arose and he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And so the men marveled, saying, "Who can this be, that even the winds and the waves obey him?" The question of Jesus in their storm and in ours is, why are you afraid? At first we wonder if he's kidding, if he's teasing, if he's pulling a quick one. Kind of like one swimmer asking another, "Why are you wet?" How could we not be afraid? But then Jesus does not smile. He's dead earnest. He really wants to know, why are you afraid? Here's how Matthew remembered the trip. He said, Jesus got into a boat and his followers went with him, and a great storm arose on the lake. Matthew doesn't just use any word here for storm. Just like in English, he had several options. He had words that would sound like our equivalent of a thundercloud or torrent or squall. But Matthew remembers the bouncing boat and the pouncing tempest. And so it's almost as if he pulls his Greek thesaurus down off the shelf and he runs his finger down until he lands on the right word and he says, that's it. This is not a storm. This is a seismos. S-E-I-S-M-O-S. A great seismos. We use that word when we describe an earthquake. He only used that word 2 other times in his gospel. Once to describe the shaking of the earth at the crucifixion of Christ. Once to describe the shaking of the earth at the resurrection of Christ. Once to describe the forgiveness of sins, and once to describe the defeat of death, and now he uses it to describe the way Christ can conquer our fears. It's not the absence of storms that sets us apart. It's the one we discover in the storm. And here's what the disciples discovered and who they saw in the storm. Here's the line that you want to underline in Matthew chapter 8. Jesus was sleeping. Somewhere in the midst of the thunder and the screams of the disciples was the of Christ. He was sleeping. And this wasn't a catnap. It wasn't just a slight siesta. He was sound asleep. Could you sleep during a kettle drum concert? Could you sleep in a wind tunnel? Could you snooze in a roller coaster in a loopity-loop? Jesus is doing all three. And they wake him up. And Jesus lifts his head and he looks at the disciples and he looks at the storms and he asks an honest question. He says, "Why are you afraid?" Any chance he's asking you the same question? Life comes with fears. It's a scary thing, this thing called life. It comes with fears. Fears of tomorrow, fears of failure, fears of economies, fears of wars. Life comes with fears. And fear serves its purpose. Because of fear, we run out of burning buildings. Because of fear, we avoid bad habits. For fear of the law, we drive slower. For fear of punishment, we behave. There's even a wisdom that begins when we start to fear the Lord. See, the truth of the matter is fear will always knock on our door. But the truth of Christ is we don't have to open it. When fear knocks on your door, don't invite it in for dinner. And for heaven's sake, don't invite it to spend the night. Fear will always fill the world, but it doesn't have to fill your heart.